Is Carrie Smith. Carrie is the project manager for the Housing Accelerator project, and today she's going to be providing a short project status update, including progress towards the city's housing supply growth target, the sub-targets, and current project activities in support of the 8 HAF initiatives. And over to you, Carrie.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Good afternoon, Chair, members of Growth Committee. I'm pleased to provide an update on the progress of the Housing Accelerator Fund project. Maybe. Thank you. We have exceeded the first year housing supply growth target, which would have been 373 net new units if we were trending at that 33%, with 435 units, as you heard from Director McKeel earlier. Overall, we're at 435, which is 39%. The affordable housing target is 101. We're at 56, so 56%. The missing middle, our target for the 3 years is 164. We're at 109, or we ended the year at 109, which is 66%. And the multi-unit apartment style, our target is 805, and we've hit 279, which is actually 34%. So we're in a great position regarding that. So on to the North End plan. We just had an on-site engagement envisioning activity in late January, and work resulting from that will continue throughout the remainder of 2025 in support of drafting and refining a community improvement plan for the North End. We also held an initial visioning exercise with the advisory committee and added 2 new committee members appointed in January. Adoption and implementation of the plan is set to take place in late 2026. Unlocking gentle density. The city is now working with CMHC in supporting their rollout of the design catalog, the National Design Catalog. And our team, Chris's team, is reviewing the regional designs, so regional maritime specific designs. And the launch of the catalog is slated for late spring 2025. Amendments to the subdivision bylaw for land for public purpose to facilitate taking money in lieu was approved at council earlier in January, which will help, and both of these efforts are focused on speeding up the permit approval process, which will save time and money for developers. Leveraging land, you just heard earlier in closed session regarding the land acquisition and disposition policy, along with the GIS tool. So that draft has been completed, and pending any revisions based on comments, that amended policy and tool will go to council for approval. For e-permitting, staff are working on the best practice market analysis and integrating that into a draft RFP. The RFP is underway as far as putting together our requirements and how it will pair with the city's ERP system that is also underway. That the RFP for that is underway and under draft. The selection of a new e-permitting system is right now scheduled to take place in the second half of 2025, with implementation of that new system in the first half of 2026. For governance reform, the gap analysis we completed in late 2024, and information collected from that analysis is now being leveraged to identify potential governance models. Governance models and associated operating costs will be presented to Growth Committee and Council in spring of 2025. And implementation of the approved model will be contingent on funding availability and approval of the models that have been identified. As part of the HALF project, we have, as far as CMHC goes, completed 3 of the 8 initiatives, meaning the milestones and the overall initiatives have been completed as part of the project. The zoning bylaw amendments were indexed just on Monday this week, which is fantastic. And the programs that we have created through the HALF project, a number of those will continue to provide positive development and housing outcomes over the long term. The disposition policy is a great example of that. And that's all I have for an update. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments? No? Okay. It's an excellent report, Carrie. And, we've seen that Housing Accelerator Fund has been quite a tool in our toolbox. So I'm hoping that continues. Can I get a motion to receive and file report? Councillor Lone, Councillor Ogden on the question. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Next item is 7.2.
Yes, next item is a presentation by Angie Reid, your housing manager, and he'll give you an overview of the 2024 development grants, including the Affordable Housing Grants and the Housing Accelerator Fund grant program. The presentation will also cover the current status of the Urban Development Incentive Grant Program. And with that, I'll hand it over to Andy.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. Pleased to be here today to provide you, this will be a somewhat high-level overview of the grants that Commissioner Poffenroth just mentioned. And the purpose is really to complement Carrie's presentation on the HALF project, as well provide you some of the insight on where we are with applications to these different programs. So the first program, the Affordable Housing Grant Program, this was initially seeded in 2023 through a one-time RDC federal government contribution. And last year we reinfused the grant using the Housing Accelerator Fund money. We made certain improvements to allow earlier disbursement of the grant. In 2024, the intake was open twice, and it was an incredibly tremendous response to that intake. Really pleased with the results. The majority of applications have been awarded. So these figures on the presentation speak to the possible total amount of awards that could be given in the pipeline, but we have a considerable amount of affordable units in the pipeline, just over 300. So if all those were successfully incentivized and built out, that would essentially triple our Housing Accelerator Fund target. So that's very good news. That's an estimated just under $2 million of grant funding towards affordable housing to disperse. And just as a refresh, the way this grant works is it targets the deeply affordable housing units. So that's units where tenants are paying no more than 30% of their pre-tax income, where the project's also receiving funding through Housing New Brunswick or CMHC. And this grant provides a maximum of $200,000 per project if it's a nonprofit developer, and $160,000 for a private sector developer. Last year, we did launch a new grant program, the Affordable Housing Soft Costs Grant Program. We've already dispersed just under $50,000 towards this program to a number of applicants. additional amount there left to disperse. So we're seeing some success here in this grant fund complement the RDC pre-construction cost program and really help fund some of the nonprofits in looking at feasibility studies and the various studies, permit costs required to make their projects happen. So far there's 15 units under construction, 62 units that have applied that haven't started under this grant program. And this program, it's a maximum of $25,000 to help with those soft costs related to development. It's only available to the nonprofit sector. The third grant opportunity, the Housing Accelerator Fund grant program. This was budgeted or seeded entirely through the Housing Accelerator Fund program. And this was really developed to tackle three streams of development. That's developments facing construction challenges, such as rock breaking or conversion of a institutional building like a school, as well as the missing middle forms to encourage the owner-occupied, but also just the missing middle forms, townhouses, semi-detached, as well as vacant buildings. So the maximum grant available through this program is $150,000 per project. We had a very good reception of applications last year. Altogether, it was something about a possible around 500 units. I have 246 here just because I'm not double dipping on the total grant number of unit amounts, but it was a very good reception. We're still working through the awards for this grant program, but very pleased with the results and meeting the objectives we set out to do, which was really try to create some incentives that's going to help us meet our half target, but also some of our targets for housing form. Some of those well-known projects we want to attach some, I guess, conditions to say if you don't move forward within the half period, you could lose this little bit of funding. So this slide just summarizes 518 is the total units awarded through half funding grants. And the majority of those were for apartment style buildings. However, I'd note, there's a pretty significant portion of missing middle at 86 units. Other would speak more to some form of supportive type housing or different building form. And if all of these projects do move forward, even just to the permitting stage, again, building on Carrie's presentation, we're really close to chipping away at the remaining number of units we need to issue to meet our half target, which is just 689. So in summary, we're on track to meet the goals and targets of the HALF program set out through the various grant policies, including the remaining housing supply growth target. And I think we've been successful here in that a high proportion of the applications awarded have had an affordable housing component, which is really what we wanted to see and was fundamental to the HALF program. So we will need to review the affordable housing grant program this year and next year to look at, how do we want to replenish this grant program in lieu of Housing Accelerator Fund grant funding sources. Finally, I did want to just provide an overview. This is our, I guess, last pot of grant programs. So the Urban Development Incentive Grant Program, this has been in place since 2016, and it's exclusive to the Central Peninsula. The targeted development, vacant buildings, vacant upper floors, and infill has gone through several amendments over the years, which have changed the payout amounts. Currently, the maximum grant for the majority of projects, it's now divided into two tiers, but for tier one, the projects cap out at $122,500 over 5 years. And we do budget for this program annually. We budget to pay existing commitments. We have about $3.5 million estimated incentive commitments through this program currently. We've dispersed almost $2 million since 2016. And through that have created helped create 231 units, of which there's actually almost 300 right now under construction. If you look at some of the major projects you see happening around the Central Peninsula today, Steeple View, 99 King Street, One Bayard Drive. So I did want to highlight that this program currently is under review. So we're working with a consultant since the beginning of the year, as directed by the city strategic plan. That consultant's reviewed past city programs and undertaking the financial feasibility analysis of different housing prototypes. Some of the early results are showing really that, to make an impact on projects, to move them to a point where they pencil, for the forms we're looking at, the incentive amounts will need to increase above what we're currently handing out. And we are looking forward to presenting some of the results and recommendation to the committee later this winter and establish some new direction for program parameters for the urban development incentive. So that concludes the presentation. Thanks for the time today, and happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Any questions or comments? No? Okay. I'm very happy to see that the 319 units are the focal point of this for affordable housing. All right, can I get a motion to receive and file? And Barry, on the question, all those in favor? Saying aye. Thank you very much. And 723.
Yep,
Over
thank
to
you,
you.
Deputy. Next item is a presentation by Chris McKeel. He's our Director of Development and Community Standards, and he will now present the news of continued high development activity for the last year with our 2024 development activity results. So over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Commissioner Poffenroth. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the Growth Committee. I'm pleased to provide today's year-end Growth at a Glance update on our current construction projects and permit activity. This Growth at a Glance infographic highlights the strong momentum we've maintained throughout 2024. We've seen impressive growth this year with numbers that reflect not just a steady progress, but significant gains across key areas. These numbers cover January to December and paint a clear picture of positive trends in building permits, construction value, and housing development. We've received a total of 707 building permits, which is above the 5-year average of 686 building permits. The total value of construction reached $156 million in 2024. This is the second highest annual construction reached in 11 years, which edged past last year's value, which was also very high by $8 million. The 5-year average construction value is $113.5 million, so we're actually 37% above the 5-year average. We've created 435 new units in 2024. This accounts for 39% of the Housing Accelerator Fund requirement in just the first year. This means we're well on our way to exceed our Housing Accelerator Fund targets. The overall Housing Accelerator target for the 3 years is 1,124 new units. To compare, the 5-year average for units created is 361, so we're approximately 20% above the 5-year average. These numbers indicate significant growth and progress in our development activities, which is expected to continue into 2025. Thank you, and I look forward to any questions or discussions on this positive trend.
Thank you very much, Chris. Do we have any questions for Chris? Councillor Long?
I just turned my light. Yeah, thank you. I think it's an excellent presentation, and I would like it very much that we don't compare it to anybody like Moncton and Fredericton. We just exist on our own here in St. John.
Excellent comment. Anybody else? Chris, that's really encouraging numbers. It's nice to see that St. John's constantly moving forward. You know, we're continuing to grow and prosper. And you know, when you look at the number of residential units created, 435, and a 5-year average is 361. I mean, that's incredible growth. You know, 156 million in construction projects, 5-year average, 113. I mean, those numbers are phenomenal. So keep up the good work, you guys. And I'll take a motion to receive and file. Raya and Barry on the question. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Next item.
Thank you, Deputy. The next item is a presentation by the city's growth officer, Ronald Moncada, and he'll be presenting on the results from the Ethnocultural Small Grants Program for 2024 and the use of the funds by the organizations that benefited from it. Over to you, Ronald.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Papenroth. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the Growth Committee. I'm very pleased to be here today to present the results of this amazing program that the County Council approved back in 2023 and how we're supporting these organizations. So, the Ethnocultural Grant. St. John is home of 53 ethnocultural organizations that go from Latin America, Africa, East Asia, different parts of the world. The Ethnocultural Grant has helped organizations to get incorporated and or consolidate their groups and their communities around the city. These programs aligns with the Succeed and Stay strategy, particularly with our Priority 5, expand and improve core settlement to address key gaps in journey, with Tactic 3, which is strengthen existing body programs and include ethnocultural groups. And why is that? Through these ethnocultural groups, we are having amazing support in sharing the information that we have for newcomers, for new people coming to our city, and the resources that we have available for them to integrate and grow their families and kind of help grow our city. These ethnocultural groups are key to creating a better and welcoming community, and we've seen how these groups are working together within themselves to create more cultural events, to create more awareness of their backgrounds and why it is important to keep them around the city. So just to give a quick sense of what we understand as an ethnocultural community, it is a group defined by shared characteristics of members of the group, specifically country of origin or ancestry. So with the grant, we've helped them create awareness among the community by organizing or participating in cultural activities. For example, the International Culture Fest that the St. John Newcomer Center always hosts during summer. They also put together sport events. They establish their online presence. More importantly, they keep creating a welcoming community for their members and newcomers. What does the grant support? So during 2024, and it is important here to clarify, this grant has two types of support. One is establishment, and the second one is awareness. So with first one, we give them $1,000 for them to get incorporated, or for them to get initial stationary items and kind of start their work. With the $2,500, they're supposed to kind of increase their awareness by creating a website, by having banners or flyers, and kind of participate around these cultural events. So during 2024, we helped them to participate in events, as I mentioned earlier, International Culture Fest, multicultural galas, celebration of winter solstice. They've also been involved with the high schools and schools around the city, for example, Simons High School or Samuel Champlain School, and participating on their multiculturalism days. As I said, sports events, winter cricket by one of our associations, St. John Malayali Association, Sports for Everyone, that's the Filipino Association of St. John, and community building. Marketing, miniature flags, polo shirts, banners, flyers, and all these material that will help our community, our longtime residents to be aware of the existence of these groups. And again, supplies and logistics, office supplies, and room rentals for them to kind of host their meetings and have a place where to meet together. So 2024 at a glance, the grant is of $20,000, and as I said, we support with $1,000 or $2,500. So during 2024, 8 associations benefited from it out of 12 who applied. We had 2 grant cycles. One was from January to April, and the second one from May to September. Now we awarded these ones by the end of April, and the second group was by the end of November. I would like to also take this opportunity to thank the jury that helps us with reviewing these applications and making sure we're giving the money to the ones who really need it. This jury is made of up to 5 staff members, and they meet up twice per year to, again, as I said, review these applications. They offer suggestions, or they just decide to award the funds to the organizations. Who are the beneficiaries for the 2024 intake? So, as I said, 8 associations, all of them applied for the awareness grant, which again help them engage a broader community and their cultural initiatives within their group's mission as well. When I meet with them, all what they want is to help their people to feel welcome in the city and to feel they belong. So these were the associations who benefited. To point out, 2 of these associations are French-speaking. Those are Association Maravit, Cameroon of St. John, and Association Ubuntu. They're both support French-speaking communities. Association Ubuntu is representing 48 countries from sub-Saharan Africa. These associations so with this association, what's basically happened, Brazilian Association of St. John applied for marketing material and to have funds to host different events for women, particularly Philippine Association of New Brunswick, as I said, a sports event and multicultural events. Indonesian Cultures of St. John, they were able to buy a laptop and more stationery material for their association. With the Cameroon Association, they were able to buy a laptop, a printer, and material for their communications. Bangladeshi Community of St. John and Bipersia Association Ubuntu and St. John Malayali Association were basically about cultural events and awareness around the city. So expectations for 2025, first, encouragement. So we want to see an increased number of applicants for these grants and kind of engage the community within it. Growth. With our support, we're helping them also to be sustainable. So we always try to help them find different sources of funding as well, right? Again, this fund goes to up to $2,500. So at some point, they might be looking for something else, and then we kind of share with them the other opportunities within the city or around the community. Collaboration, stronger partnerships, and empowerment of ethnocultural associations is happening right now. For example, Bangladeshi Association of St. John is partnering together with the Indonesian Association to host the bazaar of their Ramadan in the coming month. And impact, multiculturalism, community ties, inclusivity, and diversity. We just want to keep this growing as it ties back to our immigration strategy succeed and stay. So on behalf of the ethnocultural associations, I would like to thank the Common Council for supporting this program that impacts positively our diversity and multiculturalism, keeping a vibrant city. Our recommendation is for you to receive and file this presentation. Thank you so much for your time. I'm open to any questions.
Okay, thank you, Ronald. Does anybody have any questions or comments? None? I just want to ask, you mentioned in your presentation that there's 53 groups,
53, yeah.
53, and you had 12 applications. And I know that in the encouragement area here, it says you want to encourage for increased application. It seems like, what are we going to do to do that? Is there a newsletter that goes around to all those organizations, or?
Thank you for your question, sir. The idea is to meet with them, which is what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
I keep kind of reaching out to them. I ask them to come to the office. I present this grant opportunity. I've sent out an email as well, just letting them know that applications are open. So this is something I forgot to mention. We open applications early in January, and they're open until August 31st. So they're aware of it. They're just looking into what they really need. As I said, many of them are already incorporated and they are kind of doing big things. So probably the ethnocultural grant is not for them, but what I'm also helping is with them to find out what kind of support they might see around the city.
Okay. All right, thank you. Can I get a motion to receive and file, please? Councillor Lowe, Councillor Larkin on the question. All in favor? Thank you very much. Nothing from referrals from Common Council? Okay. Ready to adjourn? Be adjourned, seconder? All right, all in favor? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.